The stars looked different out here. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Endeavour, watching the swirling colors of the Kepler 442 system through the main view screen. 3 days ago, they had picked up strange signals from this area of space. The signals were not like anything humans had seen before. "Captain, we're getting closer to the source," said Dr. Lisa Park from her science station. She was the smartest person Jake had ever met. Her fingers moved quickly over her controls as she studied the data. The energy patterns are very unusual. They don't match any known human technology. Jake nodded and walked to the center of the bridge. His crew had been with him for 2 years exploring the far edges of human space. They had found many interesting things, but nothing like this. "Tony, what do our sensors show about possible threats?" Security Chief Tony Rodriguez looked up from his station. He was a big man with careful eyes who never missed anything that might be dangerous. "No weapons signatures, Captain. But there's something big out there, much bigger than our ship." Amy Chen, their communications officer, suddenly sat up straight in her chair. "Captain, I'm picking up a distress signal. It's using human emergency frequencies." She looked confused as she listened through her headset. "But the signal is coming from where those strange energy readings are." Jake felt his heart speed up. A human distress signal this far from Earth colonies was very bad news. "Put it on speakers, Amy." The bridge filled with static, then a weak voice came through. "This is Research Station Alpha 7. We need immediate help. Our life support is failing. Please respond to any human ships in the area." "That's impossible," Dr. Park said, looking at her readings again. "There are no human research stations in this system. Our star charts show nothing here." Jake made his decision quickly. "Set course for the signal source. Maximum safe speed." He turned to Amy. "Keep trying to contact that station. Ask them to identify themselves." The USS Endeavour moved through space toward the mysterious signals. Jake had been a ship captain for 15 years, and something felt very wrong about this situation. Human research stations didn't just appear in empty space. And why were there those strange energy readings? "Captain," Amy said after several minutes of trying to make contact. "The distress signal just stopped. I'm getting no response to our calls." "Could be equipment failure," Tony suggested. "If their life support is dying, other systems might be failing too." Dr. Park looked up from her instruments with worry on her face. "Captain, you need to see this. I'm detecting something very strange on our long-range sensors." Jake walked over to her station. The screen showed a 3-dimensional image of space ahead of them. In the center was a large structure, much bigger than any human space station. It was shaped like nothing humans had ever built, with strange curves and angles that hurt to look at. "That's not human," Jake said quietly. "No, sir. It's definitely not human," Dr. Park agreed. "The materials are unknown. The power source is giving off energy signatures I've never seen before. And Captain, there's something else." "What is it, Lisa?" "I'm detecting human life signs inside that structure. Multiple humans. But the readings are strange. The life signs are very young. Children, Captain. The computer says they're between 8 and 14 years old." The bridge went very quiet. Jake felt cold fear in his stomach. Human children, alone in space inside an alien structure. This was every parent's worst nightmare. "How many children?" he asked. Dr. Park checked her readings twice before answering. 31 human children, Captain. All alive, but their vital signs show high stress levels." Tony stood up from his station, his hand moving toward his weapon. "Captain, this could be a trap. Someone could be using human children as bait to lure our ship into danger." "Who would do that?" Amy asked. "And how would they get 30 children out here?" Jake thought quickly. They were 3 weeks away from the nearest human colony. No human ship could have brought children this far without someone knowing about it. But if aliens had taken human children, this was the most serious crisis in human history. "Amy, send a priority message back to Earth Command. Tell them we found an alien structure with human children inside. Include our exact location." Jake turned to Tony. "Prepare security teams, but keep weapons powered down for now. We don't want to start a fight while children are in danger." "Yes, sir," Tony said, but he didn't look happy about keeping weapons powered down. "Dr. Park, keep scanning that structure. I want to know everything about it. How many aliens are aboard? What kind of technology they have, and most importantly, where exactly those children are." "Already working on it, Captain," she replied. As the USS Endeavour got closer to the alien structure, more details became clear. The thing was huge, at least 10 times bigger than their ship. It had sections that looked like laboratories and holding areas. Strange lights moved along its surface in patterns that made no sense. "Captain," Amy said suddenly, "I'm receiving a transmission from the alien structure. They're trying to communicate with us. Can you understand it? The computer is working on translation. It might take a few minutes." Jake waited, watching the alien structure grow larger on their view screen. Somewhere inside that thing were 31 human children, probably scared and alone. He thought about his own daughter back on Earth. She was 12 years old, the same age as some of the children on that station. "Translation coming through now, Captain," Amy announced. "The message is from someone who calls himself Kethvar. He says he's a research director. He wants to know why we're approaching their science station. Tell him we're here for the human children. Ask him to explain how he got them." Amy sent the message and waited for a reply. When it came, her face went pale. "Captain, he says the humans are research subjects. He calls them specimens. He says they were collected from various locations for comparative intelligence studies." Jake felt anger building in his chest. These aliens had stolen human children and were treating them like laboratory animals. Ask him if he understands that these are intelligent beings with families who are looking for them. The reply came quickly. Amy listened and then looked at Jake with disbelief. "He says all species claim to be intelligent. He says proper scientific study requires controlled conditions. He wants to know why we're concerned about inferior specimens." Tony's hand was now resting on his weapon. "Captain, give me permission to board that station. I'll bring those kids home." Jake wanted to give that order, but he knew they were outnumbered and outgunned. One wrong move could get the children killed. "Not yet, Tony. We need more information first. Dr. Park, can you get visual contact with the children?" "I'm trying, Captain. The alien technology is very advanced, but I think I can break through their security systems." Her fingers moved quickly over her controls. "Got it. Putting the image on the main screen now." The view screen changed to show the inside of the alien structure. Jake's heart nearly stopped at what he saw. Human children were sitting in small rooms that looked like cages. The rooms were clean but had no furniture except for basic sleeping areas and food dispensers. The children looked scared and lost. One boy, who looked about 12 years old, was talking to the other children. He seemed to be trying to keep their spirits up, but Jake could see the fear in his eyes too. "Those monsters," Tony whispered. "They're keeping kids in cages like animals." Jake made his decision. "Amy, open a channel to the alien research director. I want to talk to him directly." "Channel open, Captain." Jake looked at the alien structure and spoke clearly. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel Endeavor. You have taken children from their families. Release them immediately or there will be consequences." The reply came through Amy's translation system in a cold, scientific voice. "I am Research Director Kethvar. These specimens were acquired through proper collection methods. They are valuable research subjects. I will not release them based on demands from a primitive species." Jake felt something dangerous building inside him. These aliens had no idea what they had done. They had taken human children, and that changed everything. Captain Jake Morrison stared at the alien structure on his view screen. The cold voice of Research Director Kethvar still echoed in his mind. Primitive species. The alien had called humans a primitive species while keeping their children in cages. "Amy, tell that thing I want to speak with whoever is in charge of this operation. Now." Amy Chen worked at her communication station, sending the message through their translation system. After a few moments, she looked up. "Captain Kethvar says he is the senior researcher in charge. He wants to know why we're wasting his time with emotional displays." Jake felt his hands form into fists. "Emotional displays? Ask him how he would feel if someone took his young and put them in cages." The reply came quickly through Amy's headset. She looked confused as she translated. "He says his species doesn't form emotional attachments to offspring the way lower species do. He says it's scientifically interesting that we show such concern for these specimens." Dr. Lisa Park looked up from her science station with anger in her eyes. "Captain, I've been scanning the children more carefully. They show signs of long-term stress, high heart rates, sleep problems, and other signs that they've been scared for a long time. Some of the younger ones are showing signs of severe emotional trauma." Tony Rodriguez stepped forward, his face hard with rage. "Captain, we need to get those kids out of there right now. Every minute we waste talking, they're suffering." Jake understood Tony's anger, but he also knew they were facing a massive alien station with unknown weapons. The USS Endeavor was an exploration ship, not a warship. If they attacked and lost, the children would be trapped forever. Dr. Park, what else can you tell me about that station? How many aliens are aboard? What kind of defenses do they have? Lisa checked her readings carefully. I count about 200 aliens aboard the station. The structure has some kind of energy shield system, and I'm detecting weapon systems that are much more advanced than ours. Captain, if we fight them directly, we'll lose. Amy suddenly sat up straight in her chair. Captain, I'm getting a clearer visual signal from inside the station. I think I can show you more about where the children are being kept. Put it on the main screen. The view screen changed to show different areas inside the alien station. Jake saw human children in separate rooms, all designed like laboratory observation areas. The rooms had cameras watching everything the children did. Some kids were sitting alone, staring at walls. Others were trying to communicate with children in nearby rooms by tapping on the walls. In one room, Jake saw the 12-year-old boy he had noticed before. The boy was standing near a wall, tapping out patterns that looked like Morse code. Other children were tapping back from their rooms. That kid is organizing them, Tony said with respect in his voice. He's trying to keep them connected even though they're separated. Dr. Park studied her readings more carefully. Captain, I'm detecting something else. The aliens have been doing medical tests on the children. Blood samples, brain scans, physical examinations. They're studying them like laboratory animals. Jake felt sick to his stomach. These weren't just imprisoned children. They were being experimented on by aliens who saw them as nothing more than interesting specimens. Amy, contact Kethvar again. I want to make him understand what he's dealing with. When the communication channel opened, Jake spoke slowly and clearly. Kethvar, you have made a serious mistake. The beings you call specimens are the children of my species. They have families who love them. They have names, dreams, and futures. Release them now, and we can discuss this peacefully. The alien's reply came through the translation system in the same cold, scientific tone. Captain Morrison, your emotional reaction is noted for our behavioral studies. These specimens were collected from various human settlements using standard scientific collection protocols. They represent excellent examples of your species at different developmental stages. I cannot release valuable research subjects based on primitive emotional arguments. Collected from settlements? Jake felt new horror. You took these children from their homes? From their families? Of course. Random sampling from natural habitats provides the best research data. We observed your settlements for several weeks before selecting the most suitable specimens. The collection process was completed without harming the specimens. Amy's face went white as she translated. Captain, he's saying they watched our colonies and then took children from their homes. Like they were catching animals in the wild. Jake's anger was now mixed with something much more dangerous. These aliens had been watching human settlements, studying them, and then stealing children from their beds. They had planned this carefully, treating human families like they were wildlife to be studied. Dr. Park, scan the nearby space. Are there other alien ships in the system? Lisa worked at her controls for several minutes. I'm not detecting any other ships, Captain. But this station has communication systems that could call for help if they wanted to. Jake made his decision. Amy, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we need immediate military support. Include everything we know about this situation. Then try to contact any human ships within 50 light years. We need backup. Captain, Tony said quietly. Even if help comes, it will take weeks for ships to reach us. Those kids don't have weeks. Jake knew Tony was right. The children were suffering now, and there was no telling what other experiments the aliens might do while they waited for help. Amy, open the channel to Kethvar again. When the connection was active, Jake spoke with controlled anger. Kethvar, I'm going to explain something to you. In human culture, children are the most precious thing we have. Every adult human will fight to protect any child, not just their own. You have committed the worst crime possible in human society. The alien's reply was dismissive. Your cultural practices are irrelevant to scientific research. These specimens will provide valuable data about human development and intelligence. I estimate the studies will continue for approximately 2 more years. 2 years? Jake couldn't believe what he was hearing. You plan to keep these children prisoner for 2 years? The longitudinal study requires extended observation. We must document their development over time. Some of the specimens may be suitable for breeding experiments to study human reproduction. The bridge went completely silent. Amy looked sick as she finished translating. Dr. Park had stopped working and was staring at the communication station with horror. Tony's hand was now gripping his weapon so tightly that his knuckles were white. Breeding experiments, Jake repeated quietly. You're talking about using children for breeding experiments. Only the older specimens, of course. The younger ones will be studied for cognitive development and learning patterns. Jake felt something change inside him. These aliens didn't just see humans as animals. They saw human children as breeding stock for their experiments. Every protective instinct that evolution had built into humanity was now screaming in his mind. Kethvar, I want you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you. You have 31 human children. Every single one of those children has parents who love them. Everyone has brothers, sisters, grandparents, teachers, and friends who are looking for them. You have just made enemies of every human being in the galaxy. The alien's response showed he still didn't understand. Your threats are meaningless. Your single ship cannot harm this station. Your species lacks the technology to challenge the Zephyrian collective. These specimens will remain here for the duration of the study. Jake looked around his bridge at his crew. He saw the same determination in their eyes that he felt in his heart. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they were not going to abandon those children. Amy, record a message for transmission to all human colonies and ships. Tell them what's happening here. Tell them that aliens have taken our children and are treating them like laboratory animals. Make sure every human in space knows what the Zephyrian collective has done. As Amy prepared the message, Jake stared at the alien station. Somewhere inside that structure, 31 scared children were waiting for rescue. They didn't know if anyone was coming for them. They didn't know if they would ever see their families again. But Jake Morrison knew something the aliens didn't understand. Humanity would move mountains to save their young, and if mountains weren't enough, they would move stars. Captain Jake Morrison stood in his ready room staring out at the alien research station. 2 hours had passed since his last conversation with Kethvar. 2 hours of watching human children suffer while he tried to find a way to save them without getting them killed. Dr. Lisa Park entered the room with a data pad in her hands. Captain, I've been studying the station systems. I think I found a weakness we can use. Jake turned to face her. What did you find? The alien station uses a centralized power grid. If we can overload their main power coupling with a focused sensor pulse, we could disable their defensive systems for about 10 minutes, maybe long enough to get the children out. What are the risks? Lisa hesitated before answering. If we miscalculate the pulse strength, we could destroy the station's life support systems. The children would die along with everyone else aboard. Jake felt the weight of 31 lives on his shoulders. One mistake would kill every child they were trying to save. But doing nothing would condemn them to years of alien experiments. How confident are you that this will work? About 60% confident, Captain. It's the best plan I can come up with given our limited resources. Before Jake could respond, Amy Chen's voice came over the ship's communication system. Captain Morrison to the bridge immediately. We have incoming ships. Jake and Lisa rushed to the bridge. On the main view screen, Jake saw 3 large alien vessels approaching their position. The ships were sleek and deadly looking, much bigger than the USS Endeavor. Those are Zephyrian warships, Tony Rodriguez reported from his security station. They outgun us by at least 10 to 1. Captain, we need to run. We're not leaving those children, Jake said firmly. Amy, are you getting any communications from the new ships? Yes, Captain. The lead ship is ordering us to leave this area immediately or face destruction. They say we're interfering with legitimate Zephyrian research operations. Jake watched the warships take position around the research station. Now they faced not just one heavily defended station, but 3 military vessels as well. The situation had gone from difficult to nearly impossible. Captain, Dr. Park said quietly, I'm detecting something else. There are human ships heading toward our position. 3 vessels, about 6 hours away. Jake felt a spark of hope. What kind of ships? 1 cargo vessel, 1 research ship, and what looks like a colonial patrol craft. They must have received our distress calls. Inside the alien research station, 12-year-old Bobby Martinez sat in his small room, tapping messages to the other children through the walls. He had been on the station for 3 months, taken from his home on Luna Colony. While his parents thought he was sleeping, Bobby had become the leader of the imprisoned children by staying calm when others panicked. and by learning to understand some of the alien symbols he saw on their computer displays. He knew the aliens called them specimens. He knew they were planning more tests. And now he knew there were human ships outside trying to help. Through careful observation, Bobby had learned that the aliens left the children's areas during certain shift changes. He had been planning an escape attempt, waiting for the right moment. The arrival of the human ships might be that moment. In the room next to Bobby, 10-year-old Katie Sullivan was crying quietly. She had been trying to be brave like Bobby told her, but she missed her mom and dad terribly. The aliens had taken blood from her arm that morning, and she was scared of what they might do next. "Katie," Bobby whispered through the wall using their tapping code. "Remember what I told you. Stay strong. The humans outside are here to take us home." Katie tapped back weakly. "I want to go home now, Bobby. I want my mom." "I know. We all do. But we have to be ready to run when the time comes. Can you do that for me?" Katie tapped yes, even though she was scared. On the bridge of the USS Endeavour, Jake watched the tactical situation develop. The 3 Zephyrian warships had formed a protective triangle around the research station. Any attack on the station would have to go through them first. "Captain," Amy reported, "Kethvar is transmitting again. He says the children are being moved to more secure areas of the station. He says this is for their own protection during the current crisis." Jake felt cold fear. If the children were moved deeper into the station, rescue would become even more difficult. Ask him why he considers protecting kidnappers more important than returning stolen children to their families. The alien's response was as cold as before. "The specimens represent years of valuable research. I will not allow primitive emotions to destroy scientific progress. The specimens will remain secure until this situation is resolved." Tony looked up from his station with grim determination. "Captain, I have an idea. What if we don't try to fight all 3 warships at once? What if we create a distraction that draws them away from the station?" "What kind of distraction?" "We make them think we're running away in panic, then circle back while they're chasing us. It might give us a few minutes to get close to the station." Dr. Park shook her head. "Those ships are faster than us, Tony. They'd catch us before we could circle back. Not if we damage our own engines to make it look convincing. We limp away. Like we're barely running, they follow us, then we use Lisa's sensor pulse plan on the station while they're gone." Jake considered the plan. It was dangerous and relied on the aliens being fooled by their deception. But it might be their only chance. "There's another problem," Amy said, listening to her communication equipment. "I'm picking up transmissions between the alien ships. They're talking about ending the research project early and eliminating the evidence." The bridge went silent. Jake felt ice in his veins. Eliminating the evidence means killing the children. "The warship commanders think the research has been compromised," Amy continued translating. "They want to destroy all traces of the experiments and claim they never happened." Jake made his decision. "Tony, prepare your distraction plan. Lisa, get ready with your sensor pulse. Amy, send a message to those incoming human ships. Tell them to hurry." As his crew prepared for the desperate plan, Jake thought about the children trapped on that station. 31 kids who had been stolen from their beds, experimented on, and were now facing death because aliens saw them as inconvenient evidence. "Captain," Dr. Park said suddenly, "I'm detecting unusual activity inside the station. Something's happening in the areas where the children are held." Jake looked at the readings on her screen. "What kind of activity?" "It looks like some of the containment systems are malfunctioning. Security doors are opening and closing randomly. The aliens seem to be having technical problems." Inside the research station, Bobby Martinez smiled as he watched the security panel outside his room flash with error messages. He had been working for weeks to understand the alien computer systems, watching every time a guard entered commands. Now, during the confusion of the human ship's arrival, he had managed to activate an emergency maintenance cycle that was opening doors throughout the children's section. "Now," he whispered to himself, then began tapping rapidly on the wall. The message he sent to all the other children was simple. Time to run. Throughout the children's area, doors began sliding open. Scared kids stepped out of rooms they had been trapped in for months. Bobby appeared in the corridor, gesturing for them to follow him toward what he hoped was an escape route. On the bridge of the USS Endeavour, alarms suddenly began sounding from the alien station. "Captain," Amy said with excitement in her voice, "the children are escaping inside the station. Somehow they've gotten out of their containment areas." Jake felt pride mix with his fear. Human children, even when scared and alone, would fight for their freedom. "This might be our chance. Tony, begin your distraction maneuver. Lisa, be ready with that sensor pulse." The USS Endeavour began moving, away from the station, sending false signals that indicated engine problems. Jake watched the tactical display as 2 of the 3 warships took the bait and began pursuing them. But 1 warship remained behind, and Jake realized their plan had only solved part of the problem. The children might have escaped their rooms, but they were still trapped on a hostile alien station, with nowhere to run and aliens hunting them. The real battle was just beginning. Bobby Martinez led 15 frightened children through the alien corridors. The station's emergency lighting cast strange shadows on the walls as they moved as quietly as possible. Behind them, they could hear alien voices getting louder as security teams searched for the escaped specimens. "This way," Bobby whispered, pointing toward what looked like a communication center. During his months of captivity, he had watched the aliens work and learned some of their routines. He knew this area had equipment that might help them contact the human ships outside. Katie Sullivan stayed close behind Bobby, holding the hand of 7-year-old Mark Chen, who was too scared to speak. 16 other children followed them, moving like ghosts through the alien station. They had been prisoners for so long that freedom felt like a dream. On the bridge of the USS Endeavour, Captain Jake Morrison watched 2 Zephyrian warships chasing his ship, while the 3rd remained near the research station. His plan to draw them away had only worked halfway. "Captain," Dr. Lisa Park called out from her station, "I'm ready with the sensor pulse. But with that warship still protecting the station, we won't have enough time to board and rescue the children." Tony Rodriguez studied the tactical display with growing frustration. "We need something bigger than a distraction. We need those alien ships to think there's a real threat somewhere else." Amy Chen suddenly looked up from her communication station with excitement on her face. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission. It's not from the alien ships. It's from inside the research station, and it's in English." Jake felt his heart race. "Put it through the speakers." A young voice filled the bridge, crackling through static and alien interference. "This is Bobby Martinez calling any human ships. We got out of our rooms, but we're still trapped on the alien station. There are 18 of us here. We need help." The bridge crew stared at the speakers in amazement. One of the children had somehow reached a communication system and was calling for help. "Amy, can you respond to him?" "I'll try, Captain." Amy worked quickly at her controls. "Bobby, this is the USS Endeavour. We're here to rescue you."
"Can you tell us where you are on the station?"
Bobby's voice came back, weaker now but still determined. "We're in some kind of computer room. There are lots of screens and alien writing everywhere. I can see stars through a window and I can see your ship in the distance." Dr. Park quickly checked her station readings. "Captain, I think I know where they are. There's a communication center in the upper section of the station. If the children can stay there, I might be able to guide them to a docking port." But before Jake could respond, alarms began blaring from the alien station. Through the view screen, they could see security lights flashing all over the structure. Amy's face went pale as she listened to her communication equipment.
"Captain, the aliens have found the children."
Security teams are moving toward their location. Inside the communication center, Bobby heard heavy footsteps in the corridors outside. The alien voices were getting closer, and he could tell they were angry. He looked at the other children, seeing the fear in their eyes. "Everyone stay quiet," he whispered. "Hide behind the big computers," but it was too late. The door slid open and 3 tall alien figures entered the room. Bobby had seen these creatures before during his captivity, but they seemed much more frightening now. Their gray skin looked cold under the strange lights, and their large black eyes showed no emotion at all. The lead alien spoke in its own language, then switched to broken English. "Human specimens will return to containment areas immediately. Escape attempt has violated research protocols." Bobby stepped forward, putting himself between the aliens and the younger children. "We're not specimens. We're people. We have names and families. You can't keep us here like animals." The alien tilted its head, studying Bobby like he was an interesting laboratory sample. Specimen shows advanced verbal skills and protective behavior patterns. This will be noted in research files before termination protocols are implemented. Termination protocols? Bobby felt cold fear, but he didn't move away from the other children. Research project has been compromised. All specimens must be eliminated to prevent diplomatic complications with human government. On the USS Endeavour, Amy Chen was frantically trying to maintain communication with the children. "Captain, I lost contact with Bobby. The aliens must have found them." Jake stared at the research station, feeling helpless rage. Those children had been so brave, and now they were facing death because aliens saw them as inconvenient evidence. "Dr. Park, how long until those human ships arrive?" "Still 4 hours, Captain." "Too long." Suddenly the ship shook as energy beams from the pursuing warships came close to hitting them. Tony called out from his station, "Captain, they're getting closer. Our damaged engine trick won't fool them much longer." Jake made a desperate decision. "All stop. Turn us around. We're going back." "Captain," Tony protested, "we can't fight 3 warships. We're not going to fight them. We're going to give them something more important to worry about." Inside the alien communication center, the lead alien was speaking into a device, reporting to someone in command. Bobby couldn't understand all the alien words, but he heard enough to know they were in terrible danger. While the alien was distracted, Bobby quietly moved to one of the communication panels. During his escape, he had managed to figure out some of the basic controls. Now he pressed a sequence of buttons he had watched the aliens use before. Suddenly, every screen in the communication center lit up with the same image: the faces of human children. Bobby had accidentally activated the station's internal broadcast system, and now his face and the faces of all the other imprisoned children were being transmitted throughout the entire Zephyrian station and to any ships that might be listening. The alien spun around, seeing what Bobby had done. "Specimen has activated unauthorized communication protocols," but it was too late. The broadcast was already spreading beyond just the research station. On Zephyrian ships throughout the nearby space, alien crew members saw the faces of scared human children for the first time. They heard Bobby's voice as he spoke directly into the communication system. "My name is Bobby Martinez. I'm 12 years old and I'm from Luna Colony. These aliens took me from my bedroom while I was sleeping. They took all of us from our homes and our families. They keep us in cages and do medical experiments on us. They treat us like animals, but we're not animals. We're kids and we just want to go home." The broadcast showed Katie Sullivan crying for her parents. It showed little Mark Chen so scared he couldn't speak. It showed all 18 children trapped and frightened, begging for help. The transmission reached not just military ships, but civilian vessels, space stations, and colonies throughout Zephyrian space. For the first time, ordinary Zephyrians heard the voices of the creatures their scientists had been studying. On a Zephyrian civilian transport ship, Dr. Yethmore was reviewing research reports when the broadcast interrupted her work. She was a respected ethicist who had been following Kethvar's human studies with growing concern. But now, seeing and hearing the human children directly, she understood the full horror of what was happening. These were not primitive animals. They showed complex emotions, social bonds, and intelligence that rivaled adult Zephyrians. The young one called Bobby was demonstrating leadership skills and courage that impressed even her. Most shocking of all, the children were clearly capable of forming family bonds and feeling emotional pain from separation. Dr. Yethmore immediately began recording her own broadcast, sending it to every Zephyrian communication network she could access. "Citizens of the collective, I am Dr. Yethmore of the Ethics Council. What you have just seen is a violation of every principle our society claims to honor. These are not specimens. They are sapient beings whose young have been stolen from their families. We must demand an immediate end to this research and the return of these children to their people." Her broadcast spread quickly through Zephyrian space, reaching news networks, government offices, and private citizens. Within hours, Zephyrian society was in an uproar over the treatment of the human children. Back on the research station, the alien security team was trying to stop Bobby's broadcast, but he had activated multiple communication channels. His voice continued to reach across space as he spoke for all the imprisoned children. "Please help us. We've been here for months. We're scared and we want to go home. We're not specimens or animals. We're just kids who want to see our families again." The alien grabbed Bobby roughly, pulling him away from the communication panel. Specimen has caused significant security breach. Termination protocols will be accelerated. But something was changing. Through the station's communication system, voices of other Zephyrians were beginning to respond to the children's pleas. Dr. Yethmore's ethical challenge was spreading, and the Zephyrian High Council was receiving thousands of demands to investigate the human research project. On the bridge of the USS Endeavour, Jake Morrison heard Bobby's broadcast and felt something fierce awakening in his heart. The boy's courage and determination reminded him that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or weapons. It was their refusal to give up when protecting their young. Amy, are you recording all of this? The USS Endeavour shook violently as Zephyrian energy beams struck its hull. Captain Jake Morrison gripped his command chair as sparks flew from damaged control panels around the bridge. Through the view screen, he could see the research station where 18 human children were fighting for their lives. Hull breach on Deck 3, Tony Rodriguez reported. We can't take much more of this, Captain. Jake watched the tactical display show 3 human ships approaching their position, still 2 hours away. Too far to help with the immediate crisis, but close enough to see what happened next. Dr. Park, is that sensor pulse ready? Yes, Captain, but we need to be much closer to the station. Those warships won't let us get in range. Suddenly, Amy Chen looked up from her communication station with surprise on her face. Captain, I'm getting a transmission from one of the Zephyrian warships, but it's not from their military commander. Who is it? Someone calling herself Dr. Yethmore. She says she's a member of the Zephyrian Ethics Council, and she's ordering the military ships to stand down immediately. The bridge crew listened as Amy translated the alien transmission. Dr. Yethmore's voice was firm and angry as she spoke. To her own military forces, Commander Vaxton, you will cease your attack on the human vessel immediately. The Zephyrian High Council has reviewed the evidence broadcast by the human children. Research Director Kethvar is to be arrested for violations of collective law regarding sapient species. The reply from the warship commander came through clearly. Dr. Yethmore, I have orders to protect Zephyrian research operations and eliminate security threats. Those orders are cancelled. The human children are not research specimens. They are sapient beings whose young have been kidnapped from their families. Every moment we continue this action brings shame to our entire civilization. On the research station, Kethvar was screaming orders at his security teams. Bobby's broadcast had reached the Zephyrian government, and now his entire research project was under investigation. His life's work was being destroyed by primitive emotional reactions. Eliminate all specimens immediately, he commanded. Destroy all research data. We will claim this facility was attacked by human raiders and all evidence was lost. The lead security officer hesitated. Director, the Ethics Council has specifically ordered us to preserve the human specimens. Dr. Yethmore says they must be returned to their species, unharmed. Kethvar's large black eyes showed rage for the first time. I am the senior researcher on this project. These specimens represent years of valuable scientific data. I will not allow ignorant politicians to destroy legitimate research. He pushed past the security officer and activated a control panel. Computer, initiate facility sterilization protocol. Authorization Kethvar 779. Warning lights began flashing throughout the station as the computer's voice announced in both Zephyrian and broken English. Facility sterilization will commence in 10 minutes. All personnel report to evacuation stations. In the communication center, Bobby Martinez heard the announcement and felt cold fear. He didn't know exactly what facility sterilization meant, but it sounded like the aliens were planning to destroy the entire station with the children still aboard. Everyone stay together, he told the other children. We need to find a way off this station. Little Mark Chen finally found his voice. Bobby, are we going to die? Bobby looked at the scared faces around him. These kids had been through so much already. They deserve the truth. I don't know, Mark. But if we are, we're going to face it together. And we're going to make sure everyone back home knows we never gave up. Katie Sullivan wiped tears from her eyes. I wish I could tell my mom I love her one more time. You will, Bobby said with more confidence than he felt. We're going to get home. All of us. On the bridge of the USS Endeavour, alarms were sounding as Dr. Park detected massive energy building up inside the research station. Captain, they're preparing to overload the station's power core. If that happens, the explosion will destroy everything within 50 kilometers, including us. Jake felt time running out. In minutes, 18 human children would die along with any chance of justice for what had been done to them. Amy, contact Dr. Yethmore directly. Ask her if she can stop the station's self-destruct. The response came quickly. Captain Morrison, I am trying to override the facility sterilization, but Kethvar has locked out the safety protocols. Only someone with physical access to the station's main computer core can stop it now. Tony Rodriguez stood up from his station. Captain, give me a shuttle and 2 security officers. We can board that station and stop this. Tony, even if we could get past their defenses, we don't know anything about alien computer systems. Then we find someone who does. Tony looked at the communication station. Amy, can you ask Dr. Yethmore to guide us through their systems? Before Amy could respond, another voice came through the communication system. It was Bobby Martinez speaking from inside the station. USS Endeavor, this is Bobby. I heard what you're talking about. I've been watching the aliens work their computers for months. I think I know how to stop the self-destruct, but I need to get to their main computer room. Jake felt pride and terror at the same time. A 12-year-old boy was volunteering to save everyone by risking his own life in alien technology he barely understood. Bobby, that's too dangerous. We'll find another way. Captain, there is no other way. The aliens are trying to kill us all to hide what they did. Someone has to stop them. And I'm the only one who knows how their systems work. Dr. Yethmore's voice came through the communication system, speaking directly to Bobby. Young human, I am Dr. Yethmore of the Zephyrian Ethics Council. If you can reach the main computer core, I can guide you through the shutdown procedure. How do I get there from the communication center? Exit your current location and proceed down the main corridor to your left. You will need to pass through 3 security checkpoints, but I'm transmitting override codes to your location now. Jake watched helplessly as a human child prepared to navigate a hostile alien station to save everyone aboard the USS Endeavor. Bobby, you don't have to do this alone. Take the other children with you. If something goes wrong, at least you'll be together. No, sir. The little ones will slow me down, and someone needs to stay here to keep them safe. Katie Sullivan is smart and brave. She can take care of the others if something happens to me. On the research station, Bobby looked at the other children one last time. Remember what I taught you about staying strong. No matter what happens, remember that people came to save us. Remember that we never gave up. He hugged Katie quickly, then ran toward the door. Behind him, 17 children watched their leader disappear into the alien corridors, carrying all their hopes with him. Bobby moved through the station as fast as he could, using the override codes Dr. Yethmore had sent. The corridors were filled with flashing lights and warning sounds as the self-destruct countdown continued. 6 minutes to facility sterilization, the computer announced. Bobby found the main computer core, a room filled with strange alien technology that hummed with power. Dr. Yethmore's voice came through a communication panel. Bobby, you need to access the central control column. Look for a panel with blue symbols arranged in a triangle pattern. Bobby searched frantically until he found the right panel. I found it. Press the 3 blue symbols in sequence, starting with the smallest one. Bobby's hands shook as he pressed the alien controls. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the warning light stopped flashing and the computer's voice changed. Facility sterilization has been canceled, all systems returning to normal operation. Throughout the station, Zephyrian security teams stopped their evacuation and stared at each other in confusion. Kethvar screamed in rage as his plan to destroy the evidence failed. On the bridge of the USS Endeavor, cheers erupted as the crew realized the immediate danger was over. But Jake knew the crisis wasn't finished yet. Amy, contact Dr. Yethmore. Ask her how we get those children off that station safely. The answer came quickly. Captain Morrison, Zephyrian transport ships are already en route to evacuate the children. Kethvar and his research team are under arrest. The children will be returned to human space with full honors and our deepest apologies. 3 hours later, Jake Morrison stood in the USS Endeavor's shuttle bay, watching as 18 human children walked aboard his ship. They looked tired and scared, but they were alive and free. Bobby Martinez was the last to board. He walked up to Jake and saluted like he had seen adults do. Captain Morrison, thank you for coming to get us. We knew someone would come. We never stopped believing. Jake knelt down to Bobby's level and returned the salute. Bobby, you and the other kids showed more courage than most adults ever will. You saved not just yourselves, but everyone on my ship too. Will we really get to go home now? Yes, all of you. And Bobby, there's something else you should know. Your broadcast didn't just reach the Zephyrians. It reached every human colony in space. Everyone knows what you kids did here. Everyone knows how brave you were. Bobby smiled for the first time in months. Does that mean my mom and dad know I'm okay? They know you're more than okay. They know you're a hero. As the USS Endeavour prepared to take the children home, Jake thought about what had happened in the system.